Welcome to Supply Chain Talks. My name is Kristian Mortensen. I'm a Senior Director, Global Partnership and Alliances at project44, and today I'm also your host for Supply Chain Talks. project44 has hand-curated a strong partner network in order to extend and enable the best possible customer experience. During spring and early summer, we welcome you to our partner series, Supply Chain Talks. These conversations touch on current developments in global supply chains and the world of logistics. Today, we warmly welcome Mr. Michiel Keijzer to Supply Chain Talks. Michiel is the Chief Executive Officer of Flow Group. Michiel, I'm very, very happy to have you join.
Thank you, Kristian. Really nice to be here. We've been a partner with project44 for quite a long time already. Doing a lot of business together, and it's really great to have the opportunity to be here with you today. I completely forgive you for the pronunciation of my name. It's Michiel Keijzer is rightly pronounced, but I don't think there's many people outside of the Netherlands who are able to pronounce it correctly. My parents have had a very international life, but they've never imagined, I guess, that I would get an international career as well. So. No worries about that.
Let's adapt. My friend, let's go back 1 year. You're the CEO and you're responsible for the company and more than 150 employees in Flow Group.
Yes.
What actions did you take back in March, April last year? And what was on your mind and perhaps on the mind of your customers back then?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Kristian, and actually one very close to my heart, because everyone has had their challenges, and I'm very happy to share. I think it's a good story to share ours. But we had a compounding challenge because we were just finalizing management buyout when we basically hit peak Corona. So that made things quite exciting. But also, I think it just added to the focus that we needed anyway. So what did we do? We actually created a focus group. To really focus on our COVID response. As you understand, or as you need to understand, we are a consulting company, implementation company, and we tend to do our work with our clients, physically. We tend to go over to our clients' offices, advise them, consult them, run workshops with them. Do design sessions with them. In implementations, we typically sit next to our clients and help them be successful. And during go lives, we're either within the warehouse or the planning center, depending if it's a TMS or warehouse management implementation. And all those things, all of a sudden, were not possible anymore. So we saw that coming. It was a bit of a gliding scale, but all of a sudden, it went quite quickly. So how do we do that? And obviously, the tools were there. That wasn't hard to imagine. We could do things virtually and remotely. And I think the big benefit that we had as an organization actually is that we've been a virtual company in that sense ever since we started. We tend to be with our clients or from our offices or from home. And we have people all across Europe, all across the globe, and we're very used to working together in a virtual way through Teams or Skype back in the days and those kind of tools. So for us, that was quite natural. But then, how do you actually perform those activities with your client? How do you collaborate? How do you cooperate with a client? And actually, we really took our a small group, a very focused group of our seniors together. And we planned it out, and basically our full methodology we transformed in a remote approach. And I think what's very clear, and what I'm truly amazed with, is that it's been very successful because we've managed to sell new projects, we've started new projects, we've had go lives, we've gone through multiple full cycles within the last year, and I can definitely say we haven't had any major issues with, certainly we have had no issues that were caused by not being with the client. So we've managed well, I would say.
So managing, say, a management buyout and a COVID crisis and growing the company, it's all like another day. But let's say Flow Group, for me, let's say you implement, for example, OTM globally.
Yes.
And you help increase efficiency, user satisfaction, and much more. How do something like real-time visibility interact in your space with your customers?
Oh, I think it's, I think there's a very important element to that anyway. So it really comes back to our philosophy as an organization. You're right. Our core business is implementing solutions based on Oracle logistics. So we focus on Oracle Transportation Management, known as OTM, as well as Oracle Warehouse Management Cloud. So they're both cloud products delivered by Oracle. And we implement those solutions, at their best. The strength of those solutions is using the functionality that they bring as a standard product. And in order to deliver the actual solution, we bring our expertise. We need to understand the client's needs, the client's specific requirements, see where we can use the let's say the standard templates that we have, where we need to go a bit more special to identify and support the I would say the competitive edge that the client has with their logistics. But then quite often what you see is that you need to go a little bit further to provide a full solution. I mean, logistics doesn't begin or end with a TMS or a warehouse management system. You need more. So in order to do that, we have a very strong partner network, of which project44 is one of our key partners. And to zoom on to that, the specific role of project44 and visibility with that. For me, it's quite simple. With the TMS, in that case, you provide, you create the ability to execute. You can be in control. You will be in control when you have the right maturity level in your TMS setup. But yeah, being in control is nice, but if you don't see, what are you doing? You need to know what you're doing. You need to see what you need to react to. And this is where visibility and advanced visibility comes in my mind. And actually, now it's here, and to the level that project44 is providing it. It's, for me, it's common sense. If you want to have the right, true maturity in your transportation management setup, you need the enterprise level, a state-of-the-art TMS combined with advanced visibility. One without the other, to me, really doesn't really make full sense, or at least, it doesn't bring you to the full maturity that you can achieve.
Michiel, to me, it seems that certainty shapes a good strategy. And how do you work with customers to help them understand the impact of changes before applying them in real life?
It's a good question, Kristian. I think it's actually, the big challenge we have as an implementation and consulting organization, because obviously we start from basically from nothing, from concepts, from ideas, from even a vision or a thought from a client side that they need something that we can then help shape into more concrete ideas, and then end up with an implementation plan and an implemented solution. So the approach that we take to make it really concrete and to help the client see the future, and also to jointly with the client make sure that we land where we need to land, it's really anchored within what I referred to earlier, our partnership approach. So like we have a very strong vision on partnering to complete the solution view. We also have a very strong approach or philosophy around making sure that we partner with our clients. And that's also where I know as an organization we are at our best. When we have a good sort of side-by-side approach, being in it together with the client, we are at our best. And that's where we start, basically even before the client takes a decision. So we want to work with the client to ensure that we understand the client's needs and the client's business case, but especially the client's processes, the client's requirements, the client's goals. And we will always play that back to the client to make sure that we really understand and are on the same page. And what we bring to the table is our very clear implementation methodology, our solution templates that we typically use also in the sales cycle already, and the decision cycle by the client, to show that solution vision. And then when we start, we basically take the approach of taking the client by the hand, because that partnership approach is nice, and I very much believe in it. But especially when a company starts a new project towards a new solution in an area where, I mean, we are experts in this field, the client typically is not. So we need to take the client by the hand, if I can put it like that. And we bring, basically everything that's needed to the table. So a clear plan, clear templates, clear approach, and we take the ownership of really kicking it off and starting it, taking the majority of that push. And then basically during the project, what you see is that it becomes more equal, and depending on how the client is organized, we can even fade away at the end or stay there. That's basically the approach to that uncertainty and that roadmap towards that ultimately.
Let's try to be a little bit personal, because you go back to G-Log, and during your work with world's leading international supply chains, you and your teams has managed some of the largest scale logistics software and consulting implementations. Could you share some examples of the kind of projects that you have worked on?
Oh, absolutely. And it's been a long time that I've been in this space, but also a large number of people with Flow have that, basically a pedigree, that G-Log background, which indeed goes a long way, 1999 for some. So it's been around for a long time. As you say, we typically, and especially, when G-Log just started, and also the acquisition by Oracle in 2005, in that era, what you could call the on-premise era, typically the implementations, well, the application was acquired by large enterprise level companies, very large supply chains. So typically the implementations have always been very large. So implementations typically are either pan-European or global. So the experience is really, well, I've been in workshops designing solutions that I refer to as the United Nations. It's one thing to get into an organization and do the technical IT side, which undoubtedly there's a big element of, but harmonizing processes and getting everyone on the same page. To really define that to be process based on which you again then design and define the solution, including then the change management as well, which we softly touched on earlier. That's really sort of the core of what we've been doing for many. And if you look at the typical examples of what we've achieved with clients, and what I'm really proud of is a couple of things actually. I think supporting clients to get their fill rates and their loading to much better states. I mean, that has always been sort of a red line through implementations, load optimization, and just making more out of those solutions. And I think what is also super interesting in that sense, it's we always focus on the logistics functions. And I think with implementing an enterprise TMS in the right way, you need to have a good understanding of its function within the supply chain. I mean, what goods, where do you need to have the goods, by when, and why? Those kind of questions. What is the meaning of the order? What was it meant to do of the transportation order? That's where our investigation starts, to not just fill that truck to the rim. I mean, that is important in execution, absolutely. But wouldn't it be nice if the right goods would be in that truck as well? And those kind of transformations are what we've been involved in, and that I've personally also been involved in, that I find super interesting, and really that connection to that broader perspective. And I think on the other side, what I find very interesting as well is just seeing the control that you achieve by having a TMS implemented. On the cost side, I mean, having all sorts of contracts negotiated and having it all really spelled out with your carriers is great, and then you can have it in your TMS to make sure your planning is based on those tariffs. And actually, what you find out when you automate it and you have it all that structured in a system is that we've seen double-digit improvements on cost, on what actually companies would pay to their carriers. And not because anyone was stealing, but just because of the accuracy that was missing in the execution. So I think those are the two, sort of historically speaking, the elements where we see, big elements of true business cases. And of course, these days, it's, as I said earlier, it's the connection with creating that ability to execute, having your processes in a state-of-the-art system and having it really well structured, and having it also everyone in the company doing it the same way. I think the sort of the historical benefits of a TMS, but now linked with actually being able to see what happens where and being able to, to react and steer when it's needed to anything that happens in the supply chain. And I think, we all know with the last year of COVID, that's not just a nice to have; it's a must have. In my mind, anyway.
I agree with you, but if you look back now, you mentioned 1999, 2005, probably in the past, supply chain and logistics was just something that took place. Nobody really noticed it, nobody really talked about it. But with the onset of this pandemic, and more importantly, with this Ever Given gets stuck in the Suez Canal, all of a sudden, this is like front page news, CNN, BBC, the local news. But now the Ever Given is kind of moved on. Still with container delays, but everything will be fine again. Or what do you see will be the development that your customers want to do in their supply chain and their logistics to ensure that they are ready for the next kind of supply chain crisis?
I think the like you said, the Ever Given was, it was, I'm not even sure if it's the right expression, but insult to injury comes to my mind. Or the drip that spilled the bucket. It was, it came on top of something that was already very challenging. I think for most CEOs, it was probably already clear, and it has become very clear, I think, with COVID that, with what you can't predict, you basically can't afford to have, a logistic setup that is, based on tactical plans and then fire and forget execution type style. And I think that's where we really see a big shift to further digitalization and to we need to change. We need to be ready to get in control, to obviously know where our goods are, be as I mentioned before, be able to re-steer, to be able to execute against those events. And I think the biggest change, and what we really see happening in the market, is that where previously any implementation around logistics was basically, the business cases were always based on cost savings and benefits, and co-benefits maybe were further control, but those things were never really the drivers, typically speaking. Some exceptions are there, but on average that I think was the case. Whereas now, as you already said, Kristian, supply chain and the ability to execute, every CEO should have this on their top list. And we see a lot of investment, which of course is good for us. We are in the business of helping our clients digitalize. And I think that's really what we're seeing. And I think even clients who have certain systems are now, I think, really looking to move up in their maturity, adding things like advanced visibility to their solution set. But also what we see quite a lot is tactical planning that gets added to solutions. With Oracle Transportation Management has a quite recent module, logistics network modeling, and we see a lot of traction with that as well. It basically allows you to do a lot of what-if scenarios against your real operational data. So you can look at what you're doing, but then also see, okay, so with what we have coming, what if we ship from here, or what if the Suez Canal would be closed and we would have to reroute? What would happen? You could basically model those things with real data, real time, and be proactive with that. And we see quite a lot of traction on that as well. Yeah.
Great, Michiel. Awesome to talk to you. Thank you for you and Flow Group for being really great partners with project44. We are proud and happy to work with you. And thank you very much for joining this week's Supply Chain Talks.
I really enjoyed it, Kristian. Thank you.
Thank you.